Delaware may be the second smallest state in America, but beneath its quiet towns, colonial streets, coastal roads, and historic buildings lies something much darker. This is a state where centuries of war, shipwrecks, tragedy, political secrets, and restless spirits have left behind stories that refuse to die. From a Civil War prison fortress surrounded by water, to a haunted governor's mansion, to inns where guests claim they are never truly alone, Delaware's haunted history is deeper than many people realize. Tonight, we're counting down the top 10 most haunted places in Delaware. If you enjoy dark history, ghost stories, and haunted legends, subscribe to Terrifyingly Haunted. Now, let's step into the shadows of the first state. Number 10. The Cannonball House, Lewis, Delaware. In the coastal town of Lewis stands one of Delaware's most historic and unsettling buildings, the Cannonball House. At first glance, it looks like a preserved piece of colonial history. Its weathered exterior, old brickwork, and quiet presence seem almost peaceful. But the house carries a violent reminder of the War of 1812, when British ships attacked Lewis in April of 1813. During the bombardment, cannon fire struck the town, and one cannonball became lodged in the side of the house. That scar remains part of the building's identity to this day. It is not just a museum piece. It is a reminder of a terrifying night when the sea brought war to Delaware's doorstep. Over time, stories began to grow around the house. Visitors and staff have reported strange activity inside the building, especially when the rooms are quiet. Some say they have heard footsteps moving across floors where no one is walking. Others describe sudden cold spots, unexplained knocks, and the uneasy feeling of being watched. The house is also connected to maritime history, with displays dedicated to Lewis's long relationship with ships, sailors, pilots, and the dangerous waters of the Delaware Bay. That connection has only deepened the eerie atmosphere. Coastal towns often carry stories of those lost at sea, and in a place like Lewis, the past can feel unusually close. Some believe the spirits tied to the Cannonball House may be connected to the fear and chaos of the British attack. Others wonder if the building holds onto the energy of the many generations who passed through it. Whatever the explanation, the Cannonball House remains one of Lewis's most haunted historic landmarks. It is a place where war left a mark in the wall, and, according to legend, perhaps something else behind as well. Number 9. The Smyrna Opera House, Smyrna, Delaware. The Smyrna Opera House is one of those places where beauty and unease seem to exist side by side. Built in the 19th century, the building became a center of culture, performance, public gatherings, and entertainment. For generations, people came here to watch shows, hear music, attend events, and gather as a community. But old theaters are known for holding on to more than applause. The Smyrna Opera House has long been associated with ghost stories. Staff, performers, and visitors have reported unexplained noises coming from empty parts of the building. Footsteps are sometimes heard when no one is upstairs. Doors seem to open or close without a visible cause. Some have described the feeling of a presence lingering backstage, as though someone is still waiting for their cue. The building's long history gives these stories a deeper weight. A theatre is a place filled with emotion, excitement, heartbreak, ambition, nervousness, and performance. For decades, people stood on that stage hoping to be remembered, and perhaps some of them still are. One of the most common themes in haunted theatre stories is the idea of a performer who never truly leaves. In the Smyrna Opera House, witnesses have claimed that certain areas feel charged, especially when the building is empty and the seats are silent. There is something unsettling about an empty performance hall. The rows of chairs face forward, waiting. The stage stands open. The building seems to hold its breath. For those who believe in hauntings, the Smyrna Opera House is not just a historic venue. It is a place where the past may still be performing long after the curtain should have fallen. Number 8. The Old Newcastle Courthouse, Newcastle, Delaware. Newcastle is one of Delaware's most historic towns, and at the heart of it stands the old Newcastle Courthouse. This building has witnessed some of the most significant chapters in Delaware's early history. It served as a courthouse, a political center, and a place where decisions were made that shaped the future of the state. Within its walls, lives were changed, reputations were destroyed, and justice was handed down. But not every story connected to a courthouse ends peacefully. For years, the old Newcastle Courthouse has carried ghostly legends. Visitors and workers have described unexplained footsteps echoing through the building. Some have felt sudden cold spots in certain rooms. Others claim to have sensed an unseen figure nearby, watching from the edge of the room. Courthouses often become haunted in folklore because they are places of judgment. They hold the emotional weight of accusations, trials, punishment, fear, and sometimes death. For those who stood before a judge, the courthouse may have been the last place they felt hope. Old Newcastle itself adds to the atmosphere. The town's cobblestone streets, colonial homes, and graveyards create the feeling of a place frozen in time. At night, the courthouse seems less like a museum and more like a doorway into the past. Some legends suggest that spirits connected to old trials or political conflicts still linger there. Others believe the building is haunted simply because so much history has passed through it. Inside the old Newcastle Courthouse, Delaware's early identity was shaped, and if the stories are true, some of those who entered the courthouse centuries ago may have never fully left. Number 7. Bellevue Hall, Wilmington, Delaware. Bellevue Hall is one of the most elegant historic estates in Delaware. Located near Wilmington, the mansion is connected to the wealthy DuPont family and reflects the grandeur of a bygone era. Its stately architecture, manicured grounds, and old-world atmosphere make it one of the most striking locations in the state. But beauty does not always mean peace. Like many grand estates, Bellevue Hall has inspired stories of ghostly activity. The building's long history, private rooms, old staircases, and quiet corridors have made it a natural setting for haunted legends. People have reported strange sensations inside the mansion, including the feeling of being watched. Some have described areas of the house that seem colder than the rest. Others have spoken of faint footsteps, unexplained movement, or the impression that someone is nearby when the room appears empty. Large estates often become haunted in local legend because they are filled with layers of human experience. Servants, family members, guests, caretakers, and workers all pass through these rooms. Joy, grief, illness, wealth, secrecy, and family tension can all leave their mark on a house. Bellevue Hall carries that kind of energy. Its rooms feel formal, but not entirely still. Its halls feel preserved, but not completely empty. There is a sense that the mansion remembers the people who once lived there, even if their names are not always spoken. Whether the stories are the result of imagination, atmosphere, or something truly paranormal, Bellevue Hall remains one of Delaware's most quietly haunted locations. It is not the kind of place that screams its ghosts. It whispers them. Number 6. The Addie C Inn, Bethany Beach, Delaware. On the coast of Bethany Beach sits one of Delaware's most famous haunted inns, the Addie C. Built in the early 20th century, the Addie C Inn has welcomed generations of guests seeking ocean air, quiet rooms, and a peaceful escape. But many who have stayed there claim the inn offers something far stranger than a seaside vacation. The Addie C is widely known for its ghost stories. Over the years, guests and staff have reported unusual activity in specific rooms, making it one of the most frequently discussed haunted places in Delaware. One of the most famous stories involves a room where the bathtub is said to shake or move without explanation. Guests have also claimed to hear mysterious footsteps, see objects shift, and experience lights turning on and off by themselves. Some report hearing organ music when no one is playing. Others describe the feeling of an unseen presence in the room late at night. The inn's haunted reputation is closely tied to the idea that multiple spirits may occupy the building. Some stories describe gentle presences, while others feel more unsettling. Unlike a ruined prison or battlefield, the ADC does not look terrifying from the outside. It looks charming, historic, and peaceful. That contrast is what makes the stories so effective. There is something deeply unnerving about lying in a quiet room by the ocean, hearing the waves outside, and then realizing the noise inside the room should not be happening. Old beach inns often collect stories. Guests arrive, stay briefly, and leave. But the building remains, absorbing every season, every storm, every private sorrow, and every unexplained moment. At the ADC, the ocean is not the only thing that never seems to rest. Number 5. The Deer Park Tavern, Newark, Delaware. The Deer Park Tavern in Newark is one of Delaware's most well-known historic pubs, and its haunted reputation is just as famous as its long past. The building has roots reaching back to the colonial era, and over the centuries, it has served travelers, locals, students, and countless visitors passing through town. Taverns were once more than places to drink. They were meeting houses, rest stops, gathering places, and centers of local gossip. They were also places where secrets were carried in and sometimes never carried out. One of the most famous stories connected to the Deer Park Tavern involves Edgar Allan Poe. Legend says that Poe may have visited the area before his mysterious death, and some versions of the story claim he fell or had an unfortunate incident near the tavern. While the historical details are debated, the legend has become part of the tavern's eerie identity. But Poe is not the only ghostly presence associated with the place. Employees and guests have reported unexplained activity throughout the building. Footsteps have been heard when no one is upstairs. Objects appear to move on their own. Some people have described shadowy figures, sudden cold areas, and the strange sensation of someone standing behind them. Old taverns are fertile ground for hauntings because they are places of emotional extremes. Celebration, loneliness, anger, exhaustion, violence, romance, and despair all pass through the same rooms. At the Deer Park Tavern, that energy feels layered into the building itself. The tavern remains active and lively, but beneath the conversation and movement is a darker history. When the crowds are gone and the rooms settle into silence, the old building seems to become something else, a place where the living still gather, and where the dead may still be waiting for one more drink. Number 4. The Amstel House, Newcastle, Delaware. The Amstel House in Newcastle is one of Delaware's most atmospheric colonial homes. Built in the 18th century, it has survived through wars, political change, generations of residents, and the slow transformation of Newcastle from a colonial town into a preserved historic district. Its brick exterior and carefully maintained rooms give visitors a glimpse into Delaware's early past. But the Amstel House is also known for ghostly stories. One of the most enduring legends involves a young woman connected to the house. In some versions, she is described as a former resident whose spirit remains tied to the property. Witnesses have reported strange sensations inside the home, including cold spots, unexplained sounds, and the feeling of another presence in the room. Some claim to have seen or sensed a female figure in or near the house. Others say the building has an emotional heaviness, as though certain rooms hold memories that have never faded. Colonial homes often become haunted in local folklore because they were intimate spaces where entire lives unfolded. Birth, illness, marriage, grief, and death all happened under the same roof. Unlike public buildings, private homes carry personal energy. Every room has a purpose. Every staircase has been climbed by people long gone. The Amstel House has that feeling. It does not need dramatic legends to feel haunted. Its age alone gives it a presence. The rooms feel close. The air feels still. The past feels less like history and more like something standing just out of sight. In Newcastle, where so many buildings seem touched by another century, the Amstel house remains one of the most haunting. It is a house that remembers, and some say it remembers too much. Number 3. Rockwood Mansion, Wilmington, Delaware. Rockwood Mansion is one of the most famously haunted places in Delaware. Built in the 1850s, the mansion was the home of Joseph Shipley, a merchant banker who returned from England and created an estate inspired by Gothic Revival architecture. With its pointed arches, towers, stonework, and shadowed rooms, Rockwood already looks like it belongs in a ghost story. And according to many visitors, it feels like one too. The mansion has long been associated with paranormal reports. People have described seeing apparitions, hearing disembodied voices, and experiencing sudden temperature changes. Some claim that spirits connected to the Shipley family still linger inside the house. One of the most frequently discussed presences is said to be a woman in period clothing. Others have spoken of ghostly figures near staircases or in upper rooms. Visitors have reported the sense of being watched, especially in areas where the atmosphere becomes heavy and still. Rockwood's architecture adds to its unsettling power. Gothic Revival homes were designed with drama in mind. Tall windows, steep roof lines, and shadowed interiors create a sense of mystery even in daylight. At night, the mansion's silhouette can seem almost alive. But the haunting stories are not only about appearances. Rockwood was a family home, and like all old family homes, it witnessed love, loss, illness, conflict, and death. Those who believe in hauntings often say that emotional attachment can bind spirits to a place. If that is true, then a mansion like Rockwood, built with care, lived in for generations and preserved through time, would be exactly the kind of place where the past might remain. Today, Rockwood Mansion stands as both a historic treasure and a paranormal landmark. It is elegant, it is beautiful, and it may be occupied by more than history. Number 2. Woodburn, the Governor's House. Dover, Delaware. Woodburn, the official residence of Delaware's governor, may be one of the most unusual haunted locations in the state. Unlike abandoned hospitals, old battlefields, or ruined prisons, Woodburn is still connected to power, politics, and public life. It is a working historic residence, a place associated with leadership and ceremony. But behind its formal role is a long-running reputation for ghostly activity. The house was built in the late 18th century and has passed through many hands over the years. Before becoming the governor's residence, it was a private home with a long and complicated history. Like many old houses, it collected stories. But Woodburn's stories are especially persistent. One of the most famous legends involves the ghost of a man often described as a former resident or visitor who enjoys the house's wine. Stories claim that wine has mysteriously vanished, glasses have moved, and unexplained activity has occurred in areas connected to entertaining and dining. Another well-known spirit is sometimes described as a young girl. Witnesses have reported seeing or sensing a childlike presence in the house. There have also been accounts of footsteps, strange noises, and objects moving without explanation. What makes Woodburn especially fascinating is the contrast between its respectable public image and its haunted folklore. This is not a forgotten building hidden in the woods. It is one of Delaware's most prominent residences. Yet the ghost stories have followed it for decades. Political houses carry a unique kind of energy. They are places of ambition, anxiety, negotiation, celebration, and private pressure. Decisions are made behind closed doors. Families live under public scrutiny. Guests come and go, but the house remains. At Woodburn, the past seems to occupy the same rooms as the present. The governor's mansion may represent authority in Delaware, but according to legend, not everyone inside it answers to the living. Number 1. Fort Delaware, Pea Patch Island, Delaware. At number 1 is Delaware's most legendary haunted location, Fort Delaware. Located on Pea Patch Island in the Delaware River, Fort Delaware was built to defend the ports of Wilmington and Philadelphia. Its isolated position surrounded by water already gives it a chilling atmosphere. But during the Civil War, the fort became something far darker. It was used as a prison for Confederate soldiers, political prisoners, and others held by the Union. Thousands of men were confined there under harsh conditions. Disease, overcrowding, poor sanitation, and suffering were part of daily life. Many prisoners never left the island alive. The dead were buried nearby, and the memory of their suffering has never fully faded. Today, Fort Delaware is widely considered one of the most haunted places in the region. Paranormal investigators, staff, and visitors have reported a wide range of unexplained activity. People claim to have heard disembodied voices, footsteps in empty corridors, and whispers inside the old prison areas. Some have seen shadowy figures moving through the fort. Others describe sudden cold spots, strange touches, and the overwhelming feeling of being surrounded. One of the most active areas is said to be the old prison section, where men were once held in desperate conditions. Visitors have described the sense of despair still clinging to the walls. Some report hearing the sounds of chains, distant cries, or movement where no one should be. The fort's isolation intensifies everything. Unlike a haunted house in the middle of town, Fort Delaware feels cut off from the world. To reach it, visitors must travel to the island. Once there, the river surrounds them on all sides. The fort rises like a stone memory from the water, massive, silent, and heavy with history. There is no easy escape from the atmosphere. Civil War prison sites are often associated with hauntings because of the amount of suffering concentrated in one place. Men were removed from their homes, held in fear, exposed to illness, and surrounded by death. Some died slowly. Others were buried far from everyone they loved. If any place in Delaware could be called truly haunted, it is Fort Delaware. The fort was built to keep enemies out, but in the end, it may have trapped something inside. Delaware is small on a map, but its haunted history reaches deep. From the colonial streets of Newcastle to the shores of Bethany Beach, from elegant mansions to wartime prisons, these places remind us that history is never as quiet as it seems. Every old building has a memory, every battlefield has an echo, every locked room has a story waiting in the dark. Some legends may be folklore, some may be exaggerated over time. But in Delaware, the line between history and haunting feels dangerously thin. And when the lights go out inside these old places, one question remains. Are they truly empty? Or are the dead still keeping watch? If you enjoyed this journey into Delaware's haunted past, subscribe to Terrifyingly Haunted for more cinematic ghost stories, dark history, and paranormal documentaries. Until next time, stay out of the shadows, because something may already be waiting there.